Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving straight into a massive economic game changer, the policy of privatization. We're going to unpack exactly how and why governments hand over the keys of state run operations to the private sector, and of course, we'll look at the controversies that come with it.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Defining privatization. 2. The mechanics. 3. 6 reasons to privatize. And 4. The case against privatization.
Section 1. Defining privatization.
So let's set a clear baseline here. At its absolute core, privatization is simply the process of transferring ownership of a public sector enterprise directly from the government to the private sector. It sounds simple enough on paper, right? But the real-world scale is staggering. We're talking about taking massive, state-funded behemoths and moving them entirely under commercial control. It's a fundamental shift in who holds the financial risk and who pulls the daily operational levers.
Section 2. The mechanics. Now, you might be wondering, how does a government actually execute a transfer this huge? Well, first, you've got to address the human element. Public enterprises are historically overstaffed. So to make them lean and attractive to private buyers, governments often roll out a voluntary retirement scheme, or VRS. This basically offers targeted financial compensation to excess workers who voluntarily choose to leave, right-sizing that workforce before the keys even change hands. The second major mechanic is the disinvestment policy. This is the actual sale itself. The government deliberately sells off its equity, its shares, in these public sector units, right in the open market. And why do they do this? To raise massive financial resources for the national budget, which in turn helps cut down the government's overall fiscal deficit. Essentially, they are trading their long-term ownership for an immediate injection of capital.
In this disinvestment isn't just a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Governments generally use 3 main avenues. They can offer domestic public issues directly to everyday retail investors. They can tap into international money using global depository receipts, or GDRs, in overseas markets. Or they can go with a strategic sale, where they hand a huge chunk of control straight to a specific private partner.
Section 3. 6 reasons to privatize. Okay, let's look at why governments are so highly motivated to actually do this. Privatization is designed to solve some major systemic public sector headaches. First up, it completely lifts the heavy burden off the public exchequer, meaning the government no longer has to cover massive losses or shell out endless subsidies. Second, it strips away political pressure, replacing it with a direct shareholder-to-management relationship that really boosts managerial efficiency. And third, it removes heavy government intervention, giving the business the flexibility to make quick, timely operational decisions. But wait, there's more. The 4th and 5th reasons are all about the business environment. Transferring ownership infuses a fiercely competitive commercial spirit. When a business is no longer shielded by the state, it's forced to innovate. This naturally shifts the entire focus of the enterprise toward a strict, profit-oriented decision-making process.
And the 6th, arguably most transformative rationale, is the revival of what economists call sick units. These are those massive, loss-making government enterprises that have basically turned into huge liabilities. Privatization is used as an aggressive rehabilitation tool to turn those draining liabilities around and transform them back into thriving, profit-making companies. And this isn't just academic theory. We've seen real-world success stories where sick units were totally revitalized. Previously struggling entities like Bharat Electronics Limited, or BEAL, the Container Corporation of India, known as Concor, and Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited, MTNL. These were successfully pulled from the brink and transformed into profitable companies thanks to this policy. Section 4. The case against privatization. Now, to truly understand this policy, we have to look impartially at the flip side. The first major economic argument against privatization deals with the danger of monopolies. Critics argue that simply selling a massive public enterprise doesn't magically create a free, competitive market. Instead, you might just be substituting an inefficient public monopoly with a highly exploitative private monopoly. If a single private owner controls an essential service without proper competition, the consumer is left completely vulnerable. A stark example cited by critics is the privatization of electricity in Delhi. Instead of reaping the benefits of private sector efficiency, critics note that consumers have faced exploitation through frequent, burdensome hikes in their electricity rates. It highlights the very real danger of handing an essential public utility over to a private monopoly. The second major critique revolves around corruption. When governments sell off highly valuable public assets, there is a huge fear that these assets might be intentionally undervalued.
critics point to the severe risk of backroom deals during implementation. In fact, the source notes that some critics say the process can become so plagued by these issues that privatization is mockingly referred to as briberization. To wrap up this explainer, we want to leave you with a final thought. We've seen how this policy can revive dying industries, slash government debt, and drive incredible commercial efficiency. But we've also looked at the very real economic critiques regarding briberization and monopolistic price hikes. So what do you think? How can an economy perfectly balance the undeniable efficiency of the private sector with the absolute necessity of protecting everyday consumers from exploitation?